So the first thing I want to do is in Teams, I want to go to the files here. And I have my tablet, or I have my Lenovo set up like a tablet. So I've got the stylus here, and I need to select the reference that I want to use. So I click on Files, come over here to Skull References, and now I can look through the skull references to find the one that I want to use. I just added a bunch on here. There's a ton of different references. Okay, and again, some of them have, all of them have either fabric or they have a secondary subject. For example, you can see here, this one just has one that's got the fabric and a background. And some of them have, if I go ahead here, have the skull and then a few objects. All right, so once I find out the one that I want to use, all right, you can scroll through just by arrowing through on your device. All right, arrow through which one you might want to decide to use. Once I get that, I'm going to actually download it, which is right here. So click on download, and that'll download it into the downloads folder. Once I get to the download, then I want to click open file, and that has it in our downloads folder. From here, okay, here's the photo. All I need to do, so I can see it's already in my photos file, okay? So now, get in this view here. Now what I need to do is I need to open it up in Kleki. All right, so I can do the contour line drawing of the form in Kleki in its own subject. So that's what I'm going to do next. I clicked on the button right here, which gives me the grid view of the open programs, and I already have Kleki open. If you don't, all you need to do is click on the Windows bar and open up Microsoft Edge, which is the web browser, and then just type in kleki.com, and that will open up. I can hide the, okay, so that opens up Kleki. All right, now that Kleki's open, what I need to do is I need to set up, based on the vertical or horizontal reference photo, I need to set it up so that I've got a vertical or horizontal. Right now it defaults at a horizontal. So what I need to do is I need to click on the File button, and then over here where it says New, I want to click New, and I want to change this to Portrait. All right, that changes it to a vertical format. If I have a horizontal, click on Landscape. It makes it horizontal. So I'm going to go with Portrait and click OK. So that gives me the area that I'm going to be working with. Now what I need to do is I need to add a layer. So here, under the file, I'm going to be importing the photo that I saved. And right here it says from today, where I downloaded drawing, it's called Drawing 23. I click on Drawing 23 and I click Open. Now, once that pops up, you can see import the image as an image or as a layer. We want to import it as its separate layer. So I'm going to click as layer, and it's going to say adjust the position. It should automatically default to the size. You click OK, and you can see it's the size that it needs to be. Oops, size that it needs to be for my reference. Okay. Now what I need to do is I want to go in and I want to create a contour tracing of the detail areas of this skull. All right, so to create the contour line drawing now, I want to come to the Layers tab. Click on the Layers tab and you can see Layer 2, Layer 1. I want to do the drawing part on Layer 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch Layer 1, and now the default brush right here, click on Brushes. Right here, you click, see it says Brush. I want to do a color that I'm going to be able to see as a separate layer in the other program, which is the Graphighter. Instead of doing a dark line on this, I want to do something that's a different color. So here in my palette, I'm going to pick a different color. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a blue, something that's visible over top of the grayscale photograph, okay? So if I do green, if I do blue, I like to do a blue just because it doesn't always show up and it does create contrast with whatever value I decide to do. So if I pick a blue, just touch the picker there and you can see that makes the color what it is. Now down here are the brush types. This one that looks like an S, that brush type, you can see right here, I can change the size and the opacity. I don't need to worry about changing the opacity right now, but the size, if I make a mark on here to trace a contour, all right, it didn't make any mark because I'm not on that layer. So I need to come to this layer. I need to put this layer on top of that layer. All right, so you see there's the marks I made. Well, you say, well, how do I see the fabric? What I can do with this layer is lower the transparency. Right here, you can see that layer is selected because it's highlighted. I can lower the transparency like this, and I'll be able to see the skull underneath to find the contour. So I want to go somewhere in the 45. I don't want to go all the way down because then I'm not going to see the pencil lines that I'm making. All right, so if I keep it somewhere in the 45 to 50 range, and then continue to draw on this layer, see it's highlighted, I come back to my brush. So there's the opacity on layer 2. So I just moved layer 2 on top. Now, layer 1 is the marking layer, right? So I'm on layer 1, got my brush, and now I want to continue to do the contour line drawing. Now, as you're doing this, remember this has to be done in one sitting. So if I click and drag by touching, I want to trace the contours. I also see that I got a cast shadow line here with a little bit of variation and gradation. I made that with a broken line. I've got light variations here in the shape of, the eye socket, so make that with a broken line. I got very distinct values in here. Here's the little crack shape. And I got some strong contours, all right? So continue going through here all in one reference, all right, all in one contour line. See over here, it gets a little bit lighter. All right, remember your contour line tracing, the shapes that are created, and how we see the variations in value. All right, as I get into the jawline here, this obviously is a very, very distinct value. And of course, I have the softened, broken line of the cast shadow. Some of these highlights and shadows in here we're going to be looking at as a reference anyway. Now, when you get into the teeth, common mistakes students make when they're tracing the teeth is they're looking at a series of shapes and they think what they see is this. All right, and that looks more like a picket fence than it does a series of teeth. So I'm going to undo that. When you look at the teeth, look at the area where the teeth meet the jaw and look at the values created in that area. So if you see here, I'm kind of going along and tracing just like I did everywhere else. I'm going along and tracing the contours, and this is key. I'm not drawing every line between the teeth, right? All of the lines in here, you can see the values in here are pretty light. So there's really not a lot of values here. There is right here. So maybe I want to go back to my brush. I want to shrink my size thickness down. And in here I've got just the idea here of the shape of the teeth. Instead of outlining every single tooth where there are similarities in values, I just made a thinner line here which outlines the contours. And then the shadows below the teeth, the shadows around the teeth, okay? See that continuous contour line. Whatever you do, don't go in and trace every single shape between all the lines all the way around the teeth. Just reference the shadows. You notice over here, this area of the teeth is very, very light overall. I see a little bit of a line right here. Little bit of a line here. There's a shadow there. Okay, so a lot of that stuff is going to be just done with the values between the teeth. If you look in this area, there's very, very little values at all between the teeth. So in this case, I'm looking at the highlight on the lower part of the jaw and how that surface picks up that 0 value. I can see a little line here, a little line there, a little value there, a little, whatever the case may be, make sure that you're keeping, and again, I changed the thickness of my size of my brush to be a lot lighter now. Okay, now I got some values in here that I can reference. You can see right here I've got a separation in 1s and 2 values, this part of the jaw. There's a highlight here. Now up here, all right, I need to look at these things also, right there, and then what am I seeing as far as these values in here? I can see that there's a shade there, and then some of the cross contours that show the area in the upper jaw, some of the values in the upper jaw, they're important. Okay, so let me zoom out. Oh, I got some details down here that I missed. Okay, got some highlight in here and some shadow in there and some other values in there. So again, this is just a contour tracing, just like we've done before. I look at every area of my reference photo and I can see I've got the values, I got the cast shadows, I got the variations in value on the fabric itself. Now if I go to my layers here and I hide this layer, look at that. There's my contour line drawing of my skull. Now, I want to get rid of this layer, so all I have is this to open. Here's what you do. Right here, click on that layer to select it. I know it's selected because I can see the image of it right here. I just want to go to the remove layer, click remove, and now all I have is that right there. Again, I have to do this in one sitting, so right here where it says the blue triangle says save, click that. It's downloading as 2020, and then the date, Kleki. If I click on the open file, it opens it up in my Photos program, and this is what I'm going to use in my Graphighter program as the basis for my drawing. That'll be the next demonstration.